Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So here we are today. We are at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, as you can see behind me. We're down here for round 2 of the endurance race series that St George Motorcycle Club are putting on. We're down here on the SV650 racing in the Formula St George class. So today is Saturday. We've had a pretty good day so far. We tested yesterday, a nice couple of sessions out on track, getting refamiliarised with the track. I haven't been here for 6 years, since 2016, and the last time I was here as a D-grader novice on my R6 and SV. So it's really cool to get back. Very different learning it on the new SV650 and the pace that we're at now. So it was a really good day, really good to get acclimatised to it yesterday. Today, Saturday, has been qualifying day for the endurance round. So we had qualifying in the morning, go out with a fresh rear tyre, and then we have the two sprint races, which the fastest lap from either of those 3 events gets our qualifying lap for the 2-hour endurance race tomorrow. We're also down here with Carl Kitson. He's back again, so he's been our teammate for most of our endurance racing. He couldn't do the Sydney 2-hour earlier this year, thanks to injury. So this time he's back. He's out on his SV650 as well. He's rebuilt that, and we've been out having some fun.
So here we have qualifying early Saturday morning. Heading out, we put some fresh tyres into the bike for qualifying and the 2 sprint races. That'll happen on Saturday. Spent a couple of laps bedding the tyres in. We sat down and watched some of the footage from the practicing on Friday. Gave myself a couple of pointers and places that I knew I really should be trying to get the bike to, and gear changes and things like that. On Friday, on the practice day, we got into the 47s, 47 high, which I was pretty happy with, even though I was kind of struggling a little bit with the track, but that was already over 5 seconds up on my previous lap time down here at Phillip Island on the Gen 1 when it was fairly stock, so pretty happy with that. And on used tyres from last round. So this morning, bolted in the new tyres, like we said, managed to go around, and this was the qualifying lap with a bit of a tight move here at the end. We managed to get a 46 high, so I was actually pretty happy with that. You can see that the top speed differences between the SV and some of the other bikes with other riders on is a bit more pronounced than City Motorsport Park. That long turn 12 onto the straight just allows us to wind up quite a lot more than you would have at City Motorsport Park. City Motorsport Park, you're getting onto the straight in 3rd gear, getting onto the straight here at Phillip Island, you're in 5th already, and you're just kind of winding out in 5th. Here you see me attempting the long lap penalty. That's used in Grand Prix. I just made a mistake on the brakes there, and just decided rather than putting it down, use the long lap penalty loop, and also potentially practicing to use it during the endurance race on Sunday. Race 1, I qualified 4th. I nearly started off in P7 just because I hadn't familiarised myself with the grid spots. The numbering is not quite as large and easy to see as it is at City Motorsport Park. We have Min on his Moto 3 Honda on pole, Cam Dunker on his Moto 3 Honda in 2nd, and just out of shot is Kev, fellow Super Twins rider who's now currently on an Aprilia RS660, and we have Lockie Epis, Benny Baker on the same row as me on their 400 bucks Kawasaki and a Yamaha. And Min's bike is very loud with that SE project on. Made a pretty good launch, not quite as good as Kev's, wheeling away on the RS660. Of course, the bit more torque that the 650s and the 660 has compared to Moto 3 allowed us to pass them, but then these young riders have got an exceptional level of skill. Min here has been racing the Asia Talent Cup all year, so he's red hot. You see, nearly elbow down on a fresh rear. Absolutely insane. Awesome to see, and like once again, I've said it before, but I'll say it again, riding with these talented young fellas that are doing crazy things on the world stage or are moving to the world stage, like Cam Dunker is next year as a reserve rider. It's awesome to share the track and actually learn off them. Race there's red flag. There's an incident going into Miller Corner, or turn 4. So the race was red flagged for about 10 minutes, and then we went back out and got underway. None of us really got as good a start as the previous launch. As you can see, Lachlan Epps on the black bike and then Ben Baker there on the white bike managed to catch us. They are very good at starting. The rest of us kind of just fluffed the start a bit. You can see Min just looking for any way to possibly get around the RS before the power and revs build off of turn 2, heading towards turn 3 or Stoner Corner, which is an absolutely mental corner. I'm wound to the stop in 5th gear here. So awesome. You can see there, Min is using the Moto 3 line, make the manoeuvre, get past and then chop back in onto the riding line. That way you command the racing line into the corner. It's a little bit aggressive for, say, club racing, but racing in general is having to get more professional, and that's the way they're doing it. So those of us that are old have to learn. You can see off the corner there at Siberia, towards this section, I kind of lose a little bit of a gap to the Moto 3s and even the RS660. I'll punch off the corner fairly well with the torque that the SV has, but I don't quite have the revs and the power of the RS or the lightweight of the 250 Moto 3 bikes, so they just managed to put a gap. You can see up over the top of Lukey though, and then on the brakes down into MG, I'm able to catch up pretty well. And this long final corner, turn 12, absolutely hilarious fun. Even the SV starting to wriggle around on the tyre when you're just pinned when you get it right. And when you get it right, you're able to stick in the slipstream like this and achieve a new top speed for our SVs. So I think we got up to over 140 mile an hour just there. Absolutely mental speeds on our SV. I'm chasing Cam Dunker there, who's racing Australian Supersport 300, winning races there. Like I said before, he's been selected as a reserve rider for the Asia Talent Cup. And then Kev Stevens, who's an A grader, who currently holds the lap record on Super Twin around the island from when he used to race his proper hot SV650. I'm learning a lot following these two. You can see the variance and lines that the Moto 3 is able to take just because it's so light. You can just choose whatever line you want to be on. The Aprilia is not quite as sharp, but it definitely is much sharper than the SV. You can see there I was able to carry a lot in on the brake. Had a lot of confidence in the front end in this race. Fresh tyre, had the setup kind of just right, really low fuel level. We really got on top of our fuel economy during the practice day on Friday. We were preparing for an endurance event, so we really figured out where the tank can be, now that we've got the fuel gauge working again. We're able to figure out how much fuel we need for a sprint race, so the bike was as light as it probably really could be as it sits. And as you see there, following these two, I was able to pull out a new PB of a 46 low. Again, there you can see off the corner, the SV can keep with the Aprilia, but then as the revs build, the Aprilia makes its 90 horsepower in the last 2,000 revs, and they rev about 2,000 revs higher than an SV, so it makes sense that as you're stretching through the gears, the Aprilia starts to get away. And that's not to say that Kev isn't riding the bike. He's a gun rider. Like I said, he holds the Super Twin Lap record around Phillip Island on a really good SV, so the man can ride. But you can just see I'm not in chasing him, I'm learning how to ride my bike and the track a bit better. So the SV punches off the corner, I can kind of keep with Kev, and then as it builds through the rev range, you can see where the power starts to take Kev away there. And that's it. And we were hoping to have a bit more spicy meatball for this race, being the longer track, but we're still on the 76 horsepower motor. And another PB there chasing Kev. You can see I can just about stick in the slipstream. That helps pull me along. Again, over 220 kilometers an hour. Another keeping above our best top speeds from City Motorsport Park. So I was really struggling with top speed on Friday. We had a big headwind. That's one of the big things about Phillip Island is the weather changing. It is enormous. It can change from lap to lap. So today it was kind of still. Occasionally a bit of a crosswind. So yeah, we were able to get a much better top speed out of it. You could hear there I was actually into the limiter in 5th, going around Stoner Corner, which I didn't have any issues with that on the Friday. It's just we were pushing so much harder. Yeah, the knee slider on the floor there, pretty cool. Kev and I have been speaking for a long time, met up a few times. I even had an SV that I bought off Kev at one point earlier in my riding career. So I really wanted to chase him down, try to put a pass in, but we were just making, it was like that yo-yo effect. It was different areas of the track where one was faster than the other and it never quite lined up. You can see there I get pretty close to the back of Kev. The GoPro is kind of hanging right about above where the axle sits on the front wheel, so if it looks like we're starting to get close, it's even closer than you kind of pick up there. And bang, there you go, we just smashed in a 1 minute 45.8 lap, which is 0.03 of a second shy of breaking Kev's Super Twin lap record, which would have been pretty cool were we able to do that. I think 0.03, we can round that up a little bit. We equaled his lap record, or maybe I should just not have had as many slices of pizza for dinner the night before. So I was feeling pretty good. I didn't realise I'd gotten a 45. I saw the speed angle lap timer that I have flashing, which usually means that you've gotten a new PB lap. I knew that I'd gotten a 46 kind of earlier in the race, so I think I was fairly well on it. Pushing hard, trying to keep up with Kev. You can see Kev was having a look every now and again. He starts to push quite hard here. You can see him slowly starting to open a gap. You can see like just towards the end of the gears is where the Aprilia starts to really wind its way away from us. Certain areas like off 2, off Siberia, Kev runs a better line, is able to get into the gas earlier than me. And then areas like this, I'm able to come in under the brakes. This flip-flop here between MG and turn 11 was the bane of my whole weekend. I could never get it right. And getting that wrong kind of leads into the run into turn 12 not being as fast as it needs to be. And you can see there, I kind of fluffed it a little bit and Kev started to get away. Now that lap was almost identical to my personal best lap. So my personal best lap was a 45.8 low. This lap just gone was a 45.8 high, like less than a tenth in the difference. And you can see Kev managed to get away from me there. So he just set a new Super Twin lap record on the RS660. And then jumping to this end of that lap 6, he actually smashed a new lap in with a 45.3. So here we are, jumping straight into race 2. See the weather's changed quite a lot. It's beautiful and sunny. Kevin and I get a good start. And you can hear that noisy SC Project can on the Moto3 bike as Min comes chopping me up. Followed swiftly by Cam Dunker. I ran a little bit wide there, which really allowed them to stay on line and get the speed and the run through. So that was my mistake. Now you actually see me start to make a lot of mistakes in this race because we decided to run a bit of a test ahead of the endurance race on the Sunday. And to try to combat the heat, we made an adjustment to the front end with the tyre, and we were running a completely full fuel load. So we've gone from needing fuel for 8 or 9 laps to running the tank absolutely gunneled. And unfortunately, the combination of the extra weight from the fuel and the front change that we made means it was much, much harder to stop the bike. I didn't have the confidence in the front end. And you can see that in this first lap, especially getting used to the extra weight. It was kind of hard. I was pushing on a bit. Felt like I was going to tuck the front. And again, with the endurance race coming up, didn't want to have a crash. We knew that I wasn't going to be able to beat either of the 3 riders in front of me. So I just had to kind of change the mindset from, wanting to race, wanting to get a PB or something, and go into testing mode for the endurance race. We kind of figured we do a bit of math looking at the competitions, lap times, that sort of thing. Did a bit of math and we kind of knew what lap time that I would need to be in, at least for my stint. So I had to try to nail that in this race to try to get it kind of down pat, know where I've got to be, lines, apexes, trying to make sure that I nail everything as consistently as possible, because at the end of the day, you've got to be quick to win a race, but in an endurance race, you've got to be consistently quick. So if you're smashing out a PB every lap, that's all well and good, but eventually something's going to break, whether it's going to be the bike, the tyres, or the rider. Now you can see here coming into Miller Corner, Kev is now testing that long lap penalty on his Aprilia. Ran in a bit hot, trying to keep up with Cam. And again, rather than crashing a bike that's worth a bit of money, he decided to pick it up and run down the long lap, which is actually surprisingly grippy. Pretty bumpy, but very grippy. And this is later that lap, crossing into lap 3. Kev's able to catch me back up and pass me fairly easily on the straight. I create a rather large bubble, so combined with his good run off 12 and then the slight top speed power advantage of the RS and my sizable draft, he was able to just shoot past us. And then from there he just breaks away and heads off into the distance. No one was really on the same kind of pace as in race 1. I mean, Cam and Min on the Honda's 250s were able to push kind of similar pace, but even they were complaining of a bit of grip issues as it got hotter. Kev was about 1 second slower. I don't think he got into the 45s in that race, and I was hovering in the 47 mark. You can actually see me tuck the front there, and you hear my knee go into the floor. Again, I started to gain on Kev there and started to push probably too hard realistically, knowing that I had 10 litres more fuel at least than I did in the previous race. So red mist kind of started to settle in, gave myself a bit of a scare and decided, you know what, just stick to that testing mindset, finish the race, gather some data, and get ready for tomorrow. So yeah, that's qualifying and the 2 sprint races. around the amazing Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit.
Today's races, I qualified fourth with a 46, 1 minute 46-ish lap around Phillip Island, which is pretty good on an SV650. I was hoping to get 47s compared to what I was on the R6 and the SV when I was here 2016. So we did a pretty good time, 46. Race one, awesome race. Managed to follow Kev on the RS660 and a couple of the kids on the Moto3 bikes. I got down to a 45. Had a really great race, learned a lot of things from Kev and the two Moto3 kids who can absolutely bang around here, which was awesome. Got a new top speed on the SV outright. So we got 230 kilometers an hour, which is absolutely hooking for a bike that makes 76 horsepower. So pretty stoked with that. Second race this afternoon. Went out, we changed a few things because it was a lot hotter. And we also tested with a full fuel tank. Because of the endurance race, we want to see what it's like getting around here with a full fuel tank. I was used to that at Eastern Creek because we'd done enduros before, but here's new, bike's new. And another thing we're testing this weekend as well that's new is switching to GP shift or race shift. So that's been interesting to get used to while learning an insanely fast track like Phillip Island. Compared to where we normally run at Eastern Creek or Sydney Motorsport Park. So tomorrow is the endurance round. It's the first time endurance has been held at Phillip Island for a number of years, even with St George or with the National Championship. So it's pretty cool to be here. Right behind us now, you've got the Phillip Island 200. So that's a 200 kilometre race where the riders start with Le Mans start like endurance. But it's a single rider and they've got to do pit stops, tyre swaps, all sorts of things. So that's pretty cool with 600s and 1000s. So we're looking forward to tomorrow. We're going to have 3 stints, hopefully all going well. 2 for myself, 1 for Carl. And with any luck, we'll walk away with the win for the day. So fingers crossed, we'll see how we go.